healthier, happier life. Have you ever wondered why some women, after decades of marriage, start to feel increasingly distant from their husbands? What happens over time that can lead to a shift in feelings? In this video, we'll explore the surprising reason why this happens, and it might not be what you think. As we age, our relationships undergo changes. For many women, the dynamics of their marriage shift, and feelings toward their husbands can become strained. But what causes this shift, especially after years of love and companionship? After watching this video, you will gain insight into why this happens and how these changes are often due to convenience rather than dramatic reasons. This video will give you valuable information that can help you understand the dynamics of aging relationships and how to foster healthier connections as you grow older. Make sure to watch the complete video, and don't skip any points. If you miss even one, you could miss the key to understanding your own relationships or preventing potential issues in the future. Reason 1. The changing roles over time. As people age, relationships often change, and one of the common shifts for women in long-term marriages is the changing dynamics of their roles within the relationship. Initially, marriages may focus on raising children, managing careers, and sharing responsibilities, but as time passes and children leave the home, these roles can become less defined, which can lead to dissatisfaction. This is particularly true for women, who may feel that their role as caregiver and household manager has been undervalued over the years. Research in the Journal of Marriage and Family highlights that many women experience a sense of imbalance or a loss of purpose when the structure of the household changes, such as during retirement or the empty nest phase. This transition often leaves women feeling disconnected, as their roles within the family may become less central, leading to a growing emotional distance from their partners. When couples enter the later years of marriage, they often face challenges such as redefining their roles and expectations. For many women, this can result in a sense of discontentment, especially if they feel their contributions have been taken for granted. For example, take the case of Linda, a 68-year-old woman who had spent much of her life taking care of her children and managing the household. When her children moved out, she found herself with more free time, but she also realized that her husband had not changed his expectations. Linda still found herself taking care of household tasks and planning everything, while her husband seemed content with the status quo. Over time, this imbalance led to frustration, and she began to feel undervalued in the relationship. This sense of neglect and lack of appreciation contributed to her emotional distance from her husband. Linda's story illustrates the importance of understanding how the changing roles and responsibilities within a relationship can impact marital satisfaction. As couples age, it's crucial for both partners to communicate openly about their expectations and the evolving dynamics of the marriage. In conclusion, maintaining a fulfilling relationship in older age requires adaptability and mutual respect for each other's roles, ensuring that both partners feel valued and connected. Reason 2. The mental load of women. One of the primary reasons women begin to feel distant from their husbands as they age is the mental and emotional load they carry. Even as they grow older, many women continue to manage the emotional and logistical tasks of the household, such as remembering important dates, making plans, and providing emotional support to family members. This constant mental load can be exhausting, especially as women enter later stages of life. Research published in the American Psychological Association has shown that women tend to take on more caregiving roles, which includes emotional labor and household management, leaving them with little time or energy for themselves. This unequal distribution of responsibilities can lead to resentment and feelings of being undervalued. Studies also highlight that the mental load disproportionately affects women because they often internalize these responsibilities. They are more likely to feel guilty for not meeting every demand or expectation, which can contribute to emotional fatigue. As the years go by, women may begin to feel that their husbands, while perhaps well-meaning, do not share the burden, which can lead to frustration and emotional distance. For example, take the case of Susan, a 70-year-old woman who had always managed her family's schedules, made all the decisions about household tasks, and provided constant emotional support for her children and husband. As she got older, Susan began to feel increasingly overwhelmed by these demands. Her husband, although loving, did not take on any of these tasks, and Susan felt like she was always the one doing everything. This imbalance created tension in their relationship, as Susan felt her emotional needs were being neglected, while her husband remained unaware of how much effort she was putting into managing the household and family dynamics. After realizing how this mental load was affecting her, Susan decided to have an honest conversation with her husband. She expressed her frustration and explained that the emotional burden she was carrying was taking a toll on her well-being. Her husband, although initially unaware of the extent of her struggles, began to help more around the house and took on more emotional responsibilities. Over time, this shift made a significant improvement in their relationship. Susan's story highlights the importance of shared responsibility in relationships, particularly as we age. In conclusion, mental and emotional labor, when unshared, can lead to resentment and emotional burnout, so it is crucial for both partners to communicate openly and distribute responsibilities more equitably. Reason 3. Lack of emotional connection. As relationships age, emotional intimacy tends to decrease, which can lead to a sense of disconnection between partners. Emotional intimacy is critical for maintaining a strong and fulfilling bond in any relationship, but over time, couples may fall into patterns of communication that focus more on logistics or routine rather than on deep, meaningful connection. As couples grow older, they may find that they are no longer engaging in the same emotionally rich conversations or sharing their vulnerabilities with each other. Research published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships shows that a lack of emotional intimacy can contribute to feelings of loneliness and dissatisfaction within a marriage. This decline in emotional connection can make it difficult for one partner, often the woman, to continue feeling fulfilled and engaged in the relationship. When emotional intimacy begins to fade, it is often replaced by transactional communication about daily tasks or obligations, such as what needs to be done around the house or what the next family event is. While practical conversations are necessary, they do not provide the emotional support and connection that couples need to maintain closeness. A study in the Archives of Sexual Behavior found that couples who continue to engage in deep, meaningful conversations are more likely to report higher levels of satisfaction in their marriages. Without emotional intimacy, couples may start to feel like roommates rather than partners, leading to dissatisfaction and a growing emotional distance. Take the example of Deborah, a 73-year-old woman who had been married to her husband for over 40 years. Over time, Deborah noticed that their conversations had become superficial. They spoke about household chores, health issues, and family matters, but they rarely talked about their feelings, dreams, or deeper thoughts. Deborah began to feel that she had little emotional support from her husband and started to feel lonely, despite being married. After a conversation with a close friend, Deborah realized that the lack of emotional intimacy was the root of her dissatisfaction. She talked to her husband about how she felt, and they both made an effort to reconnect emotionally by spending more time talking about their feelings and interests. Over time, this restored their emotional connection, and Deborah felt much more fulfilled in the relationship. Deborah's story shows how the erosion of emotional intimacy can create distance in a marriage. In conclusion, nurturing emotional intimacy is vital for long-term relationship satisfaction, especially as we age. Couples should make a conscious effort to communicate openly and meaningfully, ensuring they continue to build a strong emotional bond throughout their lives. Reason 4. Physical changes and attraction. As we age, physical changes are inevitable, and these changes can have a profound impact on the dynamics of a relationship. One area where these changes are most noticeable is in the level of physical attraction between partners. As people get older, both men and women experience physical changes that can affect their self-esteem and how they perceive their partners. For women, societal standards of beauty often emphasize youth and vitality, leading to a sense of insecurity as they age. This can cause them to feel less attractive, which may lead to a decrease in sexual satisfaction and a growing emotional distance from their spouses. In fact, Studies in the Journal of Aging and Health have shown that older adults often experience lower levels of sexual satisfaction, which is linked to changes in physical appearance, sexual health, and intimacy. Physical changes, such as wrinkles, weight gain, or changes in energy levels, can make individuals feel self-conscious and less attractive, which may cause them to withdraw from their partner emotionally. As this physical disconnect occurs, couples might find themselves less engaged in intimate activities, both physically and emotionally. Research from the National Institute on Aging suggests that sexual intimacy is often closely tied to emotional intimacy in relationships, and when physical attraction declines, it can negatively affect the overall connection between partners. Take the example of Sarah, a 70-year-old woman who began to notice changes in her body as she aged. She felt less attractive and noticed that her husband, though affectionate, seemed less physically engaged than in their earlier years. Sarah began to feel self-conscious and distant from him, unsure of how he felt about her appearance. After discussing her feelings with a close friend, Sarah realized that her husband still loved her deeply, but the couple had simply fallen into a routine, and their physical intimacy had naturally declined as they aged. With this newfound understanding, Sarah and her husband made a conscious effort to reconnect, not just physically but emotionally as well. They began spending more quality time together and reintroduced small acts of affection, which helped reignite their bond. Sarah's story illustrates how physical changes can lead to feelings of insecurity and emotional distance. In conclusion, while physical changes are inevitable, it is crucial for couples to continue nurturing emotional and physical intimacy through communication, affection, and shared experiences. By doing so, they can maintain a strong and fulfilling connection as they age together. Reason 5. Unresolved conflict and baggage. As people age, unresolved conflicts from the past can begin to affect the dynamics of their relationships, leading to emotional distance and dissatisfaction. In long-term marriages, it's common for issues to arise that may not be fully addressed, and over time, these unresolved problems can accumulate and create a sense of tension. For women, the burden of these unresolved conflicts can weigh heavily, especially when emotional needs are not met or when one partner feels ignored or unsupported. Scientific studies, including one published in Psychology and Aging, show that unresolved conflict is a significant contributor to relationship dissatisfaction in older couples. When issues are left unresolved, they often lead to feelings of frustration, resentment, and emotional fatigue, all of which can contribute to a gradual breakdown in communication and closeness. Over the years, the tendency to avoid confrontation or to suppress feelings in order to keep the peace may become more common, particularly as couples grow older. However, this avoidance of conflict doesn't lead to resolution. Instead, it can lead to a buildup of negative emotions that ultimately affect the relationship's quality. Research published in the Journal of Marriage and Family found that couples who avoid discussing difficult issues often experience higher levels of relationship dissatisfaction, as well as increased levels of stress and anxiety. This pattern of avoiding conflict, without addressing underlying issues, can result in a disconnection between partners. Consider the story of Barbara and James, who had been married for 45 years. Over time, Barbara began to feel that James wasn't as emotionally present as he once was, and several unresolved issues from earlier in their marriage resurfaced. These issues ranged from small disagreements about household responsibilities to more significant unresolved conflicts about their children's upbringing. Barbara began to feel that James no longer listened to her or acknowledged her needs. Instead of addressing these concerns, Barbara suppressed her feelings, fearing that bringing up the issues would create tension. As the years passed, this avoidance led to a growing emotional distance between them. After seeking counseling, Barbara and James learned how to communicate openly and honestly about their feelings. They were able to address their past issues, which helped restore their emotional connection and improve their overall relationship. Barbara and James' story illustrates how unresolved conflicts can gradually erode a relationship, especially as we age. In conclusion, confronting and resolving past issues is essential for maintaining a healthy and fulfilling marriage. Couples who learn to address their concerns and communicate openly with each other can strengthen their bond and enjoy a deeper emotional connection as they age. Reason 6. Changing priorities and personal growth. As people age, they often experience personal growth and changing priorities, which can influence the dynamics of their relationships. For women, this can be particularly pronounced as they enter retirement or an empty nest phase. After spending many years prioritizing family responsibilities or careers, many women begin to shift their focus toward personal development, hobbies, or self-care. This shift can sometimes lead to a sense of dissatisfaction in a relationship if their partner is not supportive or doesn't understand the desire for personal growth. Research from the Journal of Aging Studies highlights that as individuals enter their later years, they may seek more independence and fulfillment, leading to a reevaluation of their relationships and what they need from them. When women experience personal growth or develop new interests, they may feel a sense of disconnect from their partners if those partners are resistant to change or unwilling to grow alongside them. This can lead to feelings of frustration and emotional distance, as the woman feels that her aspirations and needs are not being acknowledged. A study in the Journal of Marriage and Family found that marital satisfaction can decline when one partner, especially a woman, feels unsupported or misunderstood as she pursues personal goals. Take the story of Linda, a 70-year-old woman who had spent her life taking care of her children and maintaining the household. When her children left home, Linda decided to enroll in a painting class, something she had always wanted to do but never had the time for. However, her husband, Tom, did not share her enthusiasm and was reluctant to encourage her new hobby. Linda began to feel frustrated because she felt her personal growth was being stifled. Over time, this lack of support led to emotional distance between them, and Linda felt increasingly disconnected from Tom. Eventually, after an open conversation, Tom realized how important Linda's personal growth was for her well-being and began to offer more encouragement. This change in their dynamic helped Linda feel more appreciated and allowed her to maintain her sense of individuality while still being connected to her husband. Linda's experience illustrates how personal growth can cause tension in relationships if not properly supported. In conclusion, as we age, it's essential to embrace the personal growth of our partners and encourage them in their pursuits. This mutual support can lead to stronger, more fulfilling relationships, where both individuals feel valued and understood. In conclusion, the reasons women may start to feel distant from their husbands as they age are often complex, but understanding these dynamics can help prevent resentment and improve relationships. It's important for both partners to remain emotionally engaged, communicate openly, and adapt to changes as they occur. Have you experienced any of these changes in your relationship? Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below, and let's continue the conversation about how we can nurture healthy, lasting relationships as we age. The key to a happy, healthy relationship in your later years is understanding, communication, and growth. Don't let the years slip by without actively working on the connection that matters most. Did you know that